Before we dive into the story, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Your support allows me to share more real-life, emotional stories like this one. When Daniel first brought it up, I laughed. Not a polite laugh, but one laced with derision. "Really?" I said, shaking my head. "You're jealous of Ethan? He's my best friend. We've known each other since college. This is ridiculous." Daniel's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. He just nodded slowly, sinking into a silence that made me realize my words had struck harder than I expected. Later that evening, I told my sister, "Daniel's overreacting. He thinks Ethan is a threat. It's so childish." She agreed, and I felt validated in brushing his feelings aside. After all, Ethan had been there through every breakup, every bad job. Even when Daniel and I first started dating, Ethan was the one I could confide in freely, without judgment. What I failed to see was how it appeared from the outside. Ethan texted constantly, and I always responded immediately. Sometimes, during dinners with Daniel, I laughed at Ethan's jokes while my husband watched. Inside jokes, lingering hugs, conversations that paused whenever Daniel entered the room. I told myself it was innocent, but deep down I knew it wasn't. Weeks later, Daniel tried again. "Sophie," he said one evening, "I need you to understand how this feels. It's like you're giving parts of yourself to Ethan that should belong to us, to me." I rolled my eyes. "You're overreacting. He's just a friend. Stop trying to control who I talk to." Something in Daniel shifted. I saw it in his eyes, a quiet resolve as if a decision had already been made, but I was too caught up in feeling superior to notice. I thought I was in control when in reality the game was only beginning. Over the following month, Daniel changed. Not in dramatic, explosive ways, but subtly, in ways that unsettled me. He stopped asking where I was going when I met Ethan. He no longer stayed up waiting for me to come home late. The man who once noticed every detail now seemed distant, detached. At first, I told myself it was progress. Finally, he had stopped obsessing. But what I felt wasn't relief. It was an eerie emptiness. His silence carried more weight than any argument we'd ever had. Meanwhile, Ethan was still there. Texting, calling, inviting me out. I leaned into it almost spitefully. Daniel didn't care. Fine. I laughed louder at Ethan's jokes, stayed out later, shared more secrets. But the more I indulged that friendship, the colder my home became. Dinners became silent. Nights ended with him rolling away in bed without a word. Then, one Friday, I came home from a night out with Ethan and found Daniel in the living room, a suitcase beside him. My heart sank. "What are you doing?" I asked, my voice cracking despite my attempt at calm. He looked at me. Not with anger, not with tears, but with something far worse, indifference. "I can't do this anymore, Sophie," he said evenly. "I warned you. I told you how it made me feel and you mocked me. I won't beg for respect in my own marriage." I froze. "Wait, you're leaving me over Ethan? Are you serious?" My voice tumbled out, desperate. Daniel took a deep breath. "It's not about Ethan. It's about you. You chose to make me the outsider in my own marriage, and I'm done." It felt like the floor had dropped beneath me. I had always believed Daniel would never leave, that no matter how far I pushed, he'd stay. But standing there, suitcase in hand, he looked like a man who had already gone long before he left the room. I stumbled toward him, panic rising. "Daniel, please don't do this. Ethan is just a friend. I was wrong to mock you. I didn't mean it." My voice cracked, the confidence I once had stripped away. But Daniel only shook his head. "You don't understand, Sophie. You didn't just mock me. You dismissed me. You dismissed my feelings as if they meant nothing. You laughed while I was drowning." His words hit me like stones, heavy and undeniable. For the first time, I saw myself through his eyes. The dinners where I ignored his questions, the nights I brushed off his concerns, the moments I chose Ethan's validation over my husband's trust. Suddenly, it wasn't about jealousy or insecurity anymore. It was betrayal. Not physical, but emotional. Deep and cutting. I reached for his hand. "We can fix this. Please, I'll stop seeing Ethan. I'll do anything." Daniel gently pulled away, as someone who had already made peace with his decision. "I gave you years, Sophie," he said softly. "I begged you to see me, but you never did. You only saw a jealous husband to mock. Now I see myself, and I know I deserve better." With that, he picked up the suitcase and walked out. The silence that followed was suffocating. I sank onto the couch, replaying every cruel laugh, every sarcastic jab, every time I made him feel small instead of safe. Ethan's text lit up my phone, but for the first time, it didn't matter. His attention meant nothing compared to what I had lost. I had always believed Daniel would always be there. I was wrong. My mockery had carved a canyon between us, and when he finally crossed it, he didn't look back. That night, I realized, too late, that the man I had dismissed as jealous was actually the only one who had ever truly loved me.